in its purest form. Real cars, on real roads, real fast. It's the Michelin Canadian Rally Championship on TSN. The final round of this 97 championship, the 27th annual Michelin Rally of the Tall Pines from Bancroft, Ontario. TSN's coverage of the Canadian Rally Championship is brought to you in part by Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires. Hi again, everyone. Vic Rauter along with rally expert Paul Chater.
And Vic, this is it, the final event. And the overall Drivers' Championship is still undecided. The Castrol Audi team of Frank and Dan Sprongel are leading by 15 points. And they're ahead of this man, Karl Merrill, defending champion, the Ford driver from Maine.
Now for Merrill, the season got off to a great start with a win in the Pierce-Neige Rally February 1st in Pembroke, Ontario. And even better for the American was the fact that his main rivals, Hyundai, Audi, they both failed to finish, scoring absolutely no points.
2 weeks later, the circus moved to Quebec City for the Michelin Rally de Quebec. For the 4th year in a row, Audi's Frank Sprongel dominated the competition. Outclassed on the icy conditions, Merrill settled for a safe second place, preserving his 15-point lead.
The next stop, Hinton, Alberta, the Bighorn Rally, and once again it was Frank Sprongel with new sponsorship from Castrol leading the way home. The American driver Selchuk Karamanoglu took second place in his Chrysler Eagle Talon, while third went to Subaru Canada driver Tom McNear. Merrill was fourth, still led though by 5 points.
Calgary's Rocky Mountain Rally was the scene of another Sprongel-Merrill battle. This time, a blown motor on the Audi gave the win to Ford. Second place to Barry and Sandra Latreille in their Eagle, and a fine third to Sweden's Kelly Eriksson in a Group 2 Volvo. Merrill extends his lead to 25 points.
From Alberta to Canada's East Coast, and the Michelin Rally Baie des Chaleurs, and Merrill's challenge was ended early by a broken tie rod. Frank Sprongel didn't miss the chance to capitalize on his rival's bad luck. His win closed the gap to just 5 points with Merrill. Sylvain Vincent drove well to finish second in Production GT Class E.
And the penultimate race, Quebec's Rally Auto Charlevoix. Another first-stage disappointment for Karl Merrill, but a strong second-place finish for Subaru. In Group 2, John Nichols won the class in his Volkswagen Golf to tie Eriksson's Volvo with 1 race to go. The overall winners, once again, Frank and Dan Sprongel for the 4th time this season. Finally, they topped the championship standings.
And it's a 15-point lead for the Sprongels over Karl Merrill as we head into this final event, meaning that really, Paul, Merrill has to win to pick up the 20 points and hope that the Sprongels get nothing. And on the start line, car number 1, the Rally of the Tall Pines, Karl Merrill and Lance Smith.
And a reminder, you see there are no studs and no snow tires. They're not allowed on Canadian rallies. The stages are 100% snow covered, but it's deep snow. So teams must choose between the narrow, open-treaded snow or ice tires. Merrill has opted for Michelin C5 special rally snows.
Now, often we've seen with this Ford Escort Cosworth a lot of power, but the problem is getting the power to the road. And considering the conditions, you saw a little bit of pavement, a little bit of dirt, a little bit of snow. That may be the Achilles heel for this car.
It's a great car on open gravel roads, on the ice and on the snow. It is a bit of a handful.
Now it's got a bite, and you see it's still struggling a little bit, trying to find something to hold on to. The co-driver Lance Smith runs Vermont Sports Car, which prepares this Escort.
This car really is one of a kind. Listen to Merrill feathering the throttle. His hands all over the wheel. He's really steering this overpowered car with the throttle, making the fine corrections with the steering wheel on these slippery roads.
Merrill finishes the 10-kilometer stage in 7:28. That's fast, but it won't be the fastest. More when we come back. Welcome back to the Rally of the Tall Pines here on TSN. The number 2 car, Frank and Dan Sprongel on the starting line. We know that they go into this final event 15 points ahead of Karl Merrill. We also know that Merrill finished the first stage in 7:28.
And the Sprongels have proven themselves to be very good on slippery conditions. Now, you think rallying is the same winter to summer. Watch this. There are some very subtle differences here. Watch his feet, first of all, lower left-hand corner. Very fine movements on the pedals. He's squeezing the throttle down. He's squeezing the left foot on the brake pedal on occasion. He's always using the clutch to go up and down the gears. But now look at his hands in the upper right. huge movements on the steering wheel. The slippery road, as we see, he almost spins it on that very tight left-hander. But he's setting the car up because it's right on the ragged edge on this slippery road. He's setting it up by squeezing on the brake and the throttle, and he's making huge corrections on the slippery road with the steering wheel. Look at him sawing away on the wheel.
Yeah, they are more pronounced movements with the wheel as compared to summer driving when we've seen him say something like the big horn when there's just subtle adjustments. Now it's one side to the other, lock to lock, as it were.
While his feet are very relaxed and they're gingerly working on those pedals.
Frank and Dan work together at the race shop in Georgetown, Ontario, not far from metropolitan Toronto. It's called Four Star Racing. In fact, they have prepared many of the cars that they are racing and rallying against today.
And beating them.
Yeah.
Now, there's a good lesson in watching his feet and his hands here for the average driver out on public roads in the winter. You can see how he's being very careful with the pedals. Not a lot of brake, not a lot of throttle. Keep the car stable, but you have the advantage on a slippery road of making huge corrections with the steering wheel to keep the car straight.
You talk about teamwork as well, and look at his brother sitting next and navigating. Always in that same calm position. Very rarely do you ever see him lose it. The Sprongles win the stage by 8 seconds over Karl Merrill. And that's not what Merrill needs. The number 3, Sylvain Vincent, Dominique Cyr, their production GT class Eagle Talon.
This rally should really suit them, actually, because power's not an advantage on these roads. What is an advantage is having a well-balanced car, good tire choice, lots of traction, and the very fine driving skill needed to handle these slippery roads.
And a good example right there, coming through that tight left-hander, he was able to get the traction down and get away. And Vincent's careful approach leaves him 3rd fastest. The number 4, Barry Sandra Latreille from Cornwall, Ontario, in their open class Eagle Talon.
They had a good start to the season and were in 2nd place at mid-season, but 2 DNFs in a row have spoiled their championship hopes. They've struggled with transmission and differential problems, but Barry thinks he's found the solution with some trick parts that he sourced in all places, Malaysia. Should also add that the Latreilles really don't like this rally. In 8 tries, they've only finished once. On this stage, they were 4th, 5 seconds behind Vincent.
As you can hear Sandra talking to Barry, you should also make the point that while it's snow-covered, it's not really a true winter rally, is it?
No, they can't bounce off of any snowbanks, but they have to be careful because the ditches could be filled with snow, and you can't see those, so you don't want to cut the corners too tight.
Starting number 5, the Subaru Impreza, the WRX of Tom and Trish McGeer.
Before the start, Tom told us that he planned a strategic pace to the rally, anticipating lots of crashes, or as the rally drivers call them, stuffing it into the woods. McGeer plans to play it safe until the long night stages, then see who's still alive at that point.
And really, when you think about it and you look at the standings, he is currently 3rd in the standings. He has a chance to finish 2nd overall, which would mean some dollars to him and his team. And why not play it safe? Keith Townsend, Ian McEwen, 4-wheel drive Toyota Corolla.
This open class car was at a severe power disadvantage during the summer events, probably giving away about 100 horsepower to the top cars in the class. But with luck, this privateer can do well on the icy roads, but
needs more luck than, oh, come on, no. He's gonna, yeah, you need a little more luck than that. Give it, come on, one more try. Come on, go, go. Yes, I can, yes, I can, yes, I can. The little engine that can't. Oh, my, good go. Give it one more go. Come on. One more try. Here he comes. Oh, great job. Great job. Keith Townsend and Ian McEwen.
Well done.
That has them applauding here at the Rally of the Telpines. If at first you don't succeed. John Nichols and Mike Koch in their VW GTI.
Nichols has been in a ferocious season-long battle for Group 2 supremacy with the Swedish Volvo team. Group 2 is for race-prepared, two-wheel drive cars. Turbos are not allowed, but just about anything else goes. The front-wheel drive VW and the rear-drive Volvo couldn't be more different. But these two drivers have been trading seconds on the clock all season long. Here on the ice, however, Nichols has an advantage. He's a champion ice racer. Well, even in Sweden, Pelle Eriksson has never raced on ice without studded tires. The two teams are tied in points. To win, Nichols must finish ahead of Eriksson.
And here is Pelle Eriksson with his co-driver John Belfleur, and Pelle knows that he needs luck to win this one. About his strategy, he says, hey, I hope that Nichols breaks. And on tactics, he says, it's a Volvo, you drive safely. And considering the shape it's in, it looks like a Swedish car, 11-year-old Volvo.
You can see how much more sliding around he is doing than John Nichols. Here's a team we haven't seen this season, Harry and Mark Anderson, and another Eagle talent. This one prepared to the Tamer production GT class rules. Like Vincent, Anderson makes the most of his car's smooth throttle response, wide torque band, and four-wheel drive to beat many of the regular fast drivers whenever they meet on snow.
And snow is the great equalizer. Here's Finnish ace Ari Montonen driving Honda Canada's Civic in the production sport class, and they locked up the championship a long time ago. And you don't have to spend a lot of money. Look at here, Ulysses Pereira, Pedro Somosh in their Toyota Starlet.
And Nuno Pereira in an old Mini. And listen to the cheers from the crowd. Yeah, they love the Minis.
Now here is somebody that doesn't believe in the Tom McGear school of start slowly rallying. This is Dave Strawn, Keith Payne, in a beautifully prepared Toyota MR2. And they were absolutely flying right on the edge.
Here they are, catching the car that started a minute ahead of them. But in rallying, catching the car ahead and passing it on a narrow road like this, two completely different problems.
And now, as our camera crew finds Strawn and Payne, we see them sitting in the woods enjoying a lovely day in Bancroft and asking for our help. Can you get us out of here, boys? I mean, you put us on TV, at least help us out. After two stages, it's Sprongel, Merrill, Vincent, Townsend, Latreille, the Michelin Rally of the Tall Pines. Welcome back to the Michelin Rally of the Tall Pines here on TSN. And after two special stages, Paul, the teams have stopped in Bancroft for service, and they're talking tires.
That is the critical issue here. They don't know what the roads look like. They don't know what the conditions are like. Is there deep snow, hard-packed ice? Do you go safely with snow tires, or do you use ice tires, which are not so good in the snow?
We're running with our street version Michelin Alpine tires, which I think is a great choice for today. They're really sticking really well to the, to the icy surface. It gives us really good control.
Now, after 4 stages and 60 icy kilometers, the top 10 look like this. Peter Watt, Dick Casey, a Suzuki Swift.
Charles Hammer, Patrick Péloquin in a Suzuki.
Pelle Eriksson, John Belfleur in their Volvo, trying, of course, to catch Nichols.
Harry Anderson, Mark Anderson in Eagle Talon Production GT.
6th overall, it is John Nichols, Mike Koch in their VW GTI, their top two-wheel drive car.
Tom and Trish McGear in their Subaru Impreza WRX.
Last time we saw them, they were trying to get out of the ditch, and they have. Keith Townsend, Ian McEwen, their Toyota Corolla are 4th.
Sylvain Vincent, Dominic Sear, 3rd in their Eagle Talon Production GT. They've gone with the ice tires, and it seems to be working.
2nd in the standings going into this final event, and 2nd after 4 stages, Carl Merrill, Lance Smith.
Frank and Dan Sprongel, number 1 in their Audi Quattro S2. And the Sprongels chose the safe route. They're on C5 snow tires.
Well, you got to make sure you're fast across the road. Why you would ever do this in front of some of these cars at a very tricky corner. Boy, you hear that popping sound from that Escort.
And it doesn't sound healthy, but it is. He's got an anti-lag switch on the instrument panel for the turbocharger. It actually makes the car, the engine and the turbo run much smoother. Now look at this corner. One after the other, same turn.
Well, it seems almost like it's a left-hander, but an off-camber, and the more they go off, the more icy it gets. They're just polishing this to a fine sheen, aren't they?
Well, this is going to be glazed like a curling rink by the time they're done.
And from out of the woods, come the Pines people, the children of the corn, to help the drivers get their cars back on course. It's funny how every rally, there's always people to help. Is they go to the end and they loop around and they come back, and now of course they're hitting it the other way, and it is nothing but glare ice.
And when Sprongel went through here the first time, he had good traction. He doesn't know what's happened. Now look at this, almost a 360, right around backwards.
3-point turn to get himself righted, and he's okay. Now it's Carl Merrill with his co-driver Lance Smith. Carl, here it comes. And he'll stuff it.
Look at that. He turned the wheel. No reaction from the car whatsoever.
Hit the horn, Carl. Hit the horn. Yeah, oh, there are. Come on, come on.
And once again, here come all those fans trying to help. Interesting now, because quickly coming up, Vincent and Scheer.
However, with Merrill still stuffed in the bush, see, they're being warned, so they get to slow down a little more. They know there's a problem, and they get through it.
Come on, says Smith. This car is worth $250,000, $250,000. And finally, they get it out with a little help from their friends.
And that cost them 87 seconds and dropped them from second to fourth.
So as we check the leaderboard, it is Sprongel on top comfortably, followed by Vincent, McGeer, Merrill, and Nichols. The Michelin Rally of the Tall Pines continues here on TSN, and after 6 stages, the Sprongels pulled in for service in Denbigh, Ontario, and admit they were lucky.
The first corner on the last stage, we spun, almost went into a ditch. I figure at least 4 or 5, maybe everybody's going to spin out in that corner. Good traction, then it just goes a sheet of ice, and then back to track. So we just went whoop, whoop. Stopped the 3-point turn, 4-point turn, and took off again.
And tire choice remains the big question. A snow tire works well on ice, but an ice tire, well, it's great on the ice, but it suffers in the snow. And Dominique Cyr wants to switch to C5s. She thinks the next roads will have more snow.
I did the last 4 stages with the Alpine, but it pays off because on the icy surface, I made some time. But on deep snow, the Michelin C5 would work better. So I'm going now on C5 because we think that the next stages are going to have deep snow.
Basically, we decided this morning just to take it easy and see what happened. And people have been falling off the road in front of us, left, right, and center. And now we've moved up to 3rd place. I think we're about 40 seconds behind Sylvain Vincent. Now that it's getting dark, that should be to our advantage, and we'll try pushing a little bit harder and see what happens.
We kind of went left when the road went right. When we tried to bring it around, we just slid off. And we had the front of the car up on the edge and the back end up in the air over a river. You can see my feet are still a little wet. Oh, here. Any damages from spectators standing on the hood trying to get us out.
Hey, listen, if they're willing to help, you have to let them stand on your car. The sun is down, the driving lights are being mounted, and our TSN technical crew mounting the Sony bumper cameras with a technician's best friend, tape. Now, as we heard McGeer say, he expects this to be an advantage. I can't imagine it, but he says it will.
Well, it is an advantage for McGeer. For some reason, he seems to be quicker relative to the other drivers when night falls. He's very fast despite the limited visibility.
4, 3, 2, 1, go! The final stage, it's 11.34K, and that's how far the Sprongels have to go to win the event and their 4th Canadian Rally Championship, and it has been a dominating season.
They've had 5 wins in 7 events. The big question next year will be, can anyone catch them? He really seems to be in a class of his own here.
And you know, as you see that odd snow flurry, they're getting a bit of a break because flurries would really just add to the problem.
But he likes the snow. 4-time winner of this event, and in fact, this weekend is trying to win the North American Rally Championship at the Winter Rally in Maine against Carl Merrill.
For Sylvain Vincent, there's more pressure. He's been caught now and passed by both Merrill and McGeer, and it turns out this production car on ice is quicker, but when it gets the deep snow, the more powerful cars can get their power down, so they've just simply caught him and passed him now. But he does lock up the national championship in production GT.
And the choice of the C5 tires, the right choice for this kind of road condition.
For Carl Merrill, the defending Canadian champion, it's a race now for second. However, going into this final stage, he trails McGeer in the Subaru by just a few seconds.
Carl really doesn't like driving at night very much, so he's at a disadvantage because the Sprongles have really had an advantage on him throughout the entire rally, in the daylight as well. So his only real hope here is that the Sprongles will make a mistake or break.
Now, if you can just go around this corner and see this big Castrol on the back of an Audi, that would make Merrill's day. Here he is, the Night Rider, Tom McGeer, who has come alive in his Subaru.
From fourth place, he suddenly started matching the Sprongles' pace, making up nearly 2 minutes on Vincent on one long stage. He caught up to Merrill on the next and now holds second place just ahead of the charging Ford.
You made an interesting point earlier about the fact that he is a pilot for Cathay Pacific, and who knows, I mean, maybe there is something about his night vision that just may be a little bit more enhanced since he is a pilot. The final checkpoint, and what everybody knew, the Sprongles had done it.
Scared myself a few times, did a few big mistakes today. Lucky we didn't end up in a ditch, but 4 in a row, number 5 for Tall Pines, we love you.
Team Subaru must be pleased with the season-ending performance of their driver, Tom, and navigator Trish McGeer. 2 second-place finishes, and it proves that when he is pushed, he can be among the best.
Carl Merrill finishes third in the rally and fourth in the championship. He and Lance Smith must be fuming over the 2 mechanical DNFs that spoiled such a strong campaign this year.
The dominating season continues for the Sprongles here in the Rally of the Tall Pines as they win by 4:52 over Tom McGeer. The overall championship, easily to the Sprongles. 5 wins. They win by 23 points over Carl Merrill in the overall championship. In the Group 2 class, congratulations to John Nichols in the VW as they hold off the Volvo of Pelle Eriksson. In production sport, the Honda Canada Civic of Ari Montanen is the winner there. While in production 1750, congratulations to Marc Racine, Luc Bichet, also in a Honda Civic. If you'd like to make comments or be notified of future broadcasts on TSN, you can reach us online at rally@tsn.ca. TSN's coverage of the Canadian Rally Championship is brought to you in part by Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires. Thanks very much for joining us. The Michelin Canadian Rally Championship on TSN.
TSN.